If you're looking for a clean, sober, professional, academic,
well-researched, historically accurate, generally accurate, serious podcast
on Southern folklore, ghosts, bizarre events, and unique people,
this podcast is not for you.
However, if you've decided you can live with that,
then join us for The Strange South.
The Strange South.
Hi, Marleah.
Hi, Patrice. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, y'all. Hi, y'all. Cheers.
Cheers.
We have our drinks.
We do.
We have our camera.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking really professional today.
I put on makeup.
Rags. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you. I did not.
I sat in the sun outside on the deck and got burned today.
I'll tell you, this drink looks professional and beautiful.
It does.
Does it?
I
It
think
does.
so.
Well, Marleah helped me. She's been in my house all afternoon. We had brunch today with some friends who are going to help watch the animals while I go away across the pond to visit Scotland and Ireland. So you helped with the juices, but you brought the watermelon, which gave me the inspiration.
Yeah, I needed to bring the watermelon. My children have been requiring me to have watermelon
What's the line, though?
in the house. What?
The line that goes with the watermelon.
I
From
carried
the
a
movie.
watermelon.
Carried a watermelon.
Carried a
Dirty
watermelon.
dancing. She says it all the time.
I do
She'll
say
just
it all
go,
the time.
I carried a watermelon. So she carried a watermelon to my house. And
I
was
did.
like, I think we should do a drink with that because you know what today is? Well, what tomorrow is?
Decoration.
Today's decoration day for my dad in that cemetery, in that church. But tomorrow's Memorial Day, which is the unofficial start of summer, but it is the beginning of summer. So this is it's summer, y'all.
It's the beginning of drunk summer.
That's the name
Yes.
of this drink. It's summer, y'all.
It's summer, y'all.
It's
So
summer,
it's a
y'all.
watermelon margarita. I don't think I've done one, right? Have I ever done a watermelon water? I don't think so. It was so easy to just take cubed up watermelon chunks and put it in that Ninja, liquefy it, Cointreau, lime juice, and
Tequila.
Yep,
That stuff.
that's the one. That's the one. The tequila part. So yeah, I think it's really good. The rim though, I did try to do a little bit different. I like because one of the last drinks that we had that had like the rim, I decided like maybe we have sugar in it. So this is a sugar, salt, and tahini.
Right. Can't go wrong.
And I think it makes a little bit of a difference to have both the sugar and the salt with it.
Oh, I just got a kick of something
Tahini.
sour. Yeah.
Oh.
Tahini.
Mm-hmm. And the lime juice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think it's good.
I think it's good.
It's delicious.
Mine's almost. I'm getting down to the part of the glass where it's smaller than the rest. So
We
you've
should
actually
probably get a
got most of
watermelon
it.
drunk this summer though and see what happens with that.
I've done that before. I
Yeah.
have a kit.
Put the whole
Yeah, I have a kit
bottle
for it.
in there, let it
It was a gift for a
and then just
birthday
eat the
gift
watermelon.
from a friend who knows me well. It comes with 4 little feet that you screw into the bottom to keep it, and it comes with a little tap.
Oh, so it's
You
the
push
tap
in.
keeps the seeds out and stuff, or do you get seedless?
I don't remember. I don't think it's for seedless. I think it's for big, fat, big watermelons. Those are all seeded always.
Right.
The big
the really
fat
sweet
ones are-
ones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This isn't that sweet to me. I think it's
No,
good,
this
though.
one isn't that sweet.
So it's very bright pink and lovely. So we have
Yes.
the photos of it and the videos.
Yes.
So enjoy. It doesn't take much. This was one of the easiest drinks I've made in a while.
Mhm.
So it seems like it might be complicated, but it's not. It's the chopping of the watermelon, which I didn't have to do. So thanks.
Yeah, I
Marleah.
did that. No problem.
And there's like YouTube videos or TikTok videos on how to do that easily.
How to chop them?
How
Is
to
it the
do
kind
water-
that you do it like you keep it in the shell or the
Yeah.
watermelon
Fine.
shell?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I cut avocados too.
Me too.
Yep.
And just chunk it out.
Welcome to our cooking show. Welcome to the Strange South Cooking Show,
How
which we
you
kind of
feeling,
have been.
Patrice?
we kind of have had.
We
but
haven't done Jello
it
in a while. Maybe we'll try and get back to Jello this summer.
Yes.
It's my
Jello,
turn.
Jello is a summer.
We never got to
thing.
fish Jello.
Gross.
Well, you know it was on the menu always.
It's
Never
always
for
been
me.
on
It's
the menu.
always been ahead of us.
It's not been for me.
Mm. Yeah.
Y'all do that while I'm gone. I'll go ahead and give you full permission, please.
Okay.
I think I've said this before, but
You
anytime
have.
I'm gone, feel free to do whatever you like with Jello. However you want to engage with Jello.
Whatever you want your experience with Jello to be.
Judgment free, but I don't want to be a part of it.
That's not judgment free at all.
No, that's full judgment. Judgment and exclusion.
Yeah, exclude me. You do you.
You do you all the way over there. When I'm in another country, you do you.
We drove Courtney to another country with our fish jello.
Look, I got the international
We have
plans.
to do
Send
it
me all
now.
the pictures, but don't make me no smell-o-vision.
I need to find me at the thrift store some little fish-shaped mold because you know they have them because all those 60s
Yes.
Jello books have the fish-shaped mold. That's what you make fish Jello in. It's like a requirement.
Oh my God. This watermelon.
I know. When it's been sitting in tequila for a minute,
Mhm.
it's got a little
Again, everybody
delish.
get a watermelon drunk, see what happens.
Oh my God.
They're pretty funny when they're drunk.
You're already watermelon drunk.
Hosting brunch today, that's all.
Let's see. What else have we got going on? We have an apology to make for
Oh.
there. Some of you may have experienced some sound issues with our last episode. I believe, yeah, it would be our last episode
Right.
that just released.
136.
We've been trying to talk to our host about that. That was on a problem on their end. So
Right.
we are hoping to just make sure that doesn't happen again. And thank you
Correct.
for hanging in with us.
And thank you for telling us. Always tell us
Yes.
of these things. Like if something weird or like there's a high pitch or if you hear somebody go, get out in the
Oh,
middle.
We
please
need to
tell
know
us
that.
that.
Also
We-
record it
Yes.
like on your own device and send it to us again.
But yes, thank you for letting us know about it so that we can correct it because we want you to have a good listening event.
Mhm.
And if there's things that are not doing it for you, that's, let us know.
Especially when those things are not us.
Yes. And if they're
My
us,
fault.
just keep your opinion to yourself.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's good to know because I actually caught this one before anybody else did because I read the post
Mm-hmm.
from our listener friend. And I
because
was
we're not-
like, oh, what's happening? Let me listen. So I started listening when I was getting ready. I was like, it didn't happen for me. So
Right.
it didn't happen for everyone.
No, it didn't.
Right.
But thanks for hanging in.
Yeah, because we don't always listen to ourselves. We used to listen to ourselves more, but now we don't. 'Cause life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the way.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Life.
Life.
Any more up front?
Probably, but nothing I can think of right now.
Okay. If you guys have enjoyed the podcast over the time that you've listened to the podcast, one thing that we infrequently say is we would love it if you would go on to whatever platform you listen to us on and like, rate, reviews
5
are
stars.
spectacular. Yes, 5 stars.
Only,
please give us
please.
5 stars. And subscribe to make sure that you get all the new episodes that come out every week. And, you may have noticed from last week, we have started up a new format. So you can look forward to the B-side of every episode the week after the full episode airs, our like new semi-mini.
Right.
So, just, thanks for all your support. Thanks for being there with us all this time.
Absolutely.
And review, rate, share.
Share. Oh, and I've been seeing our T-shirt out in the wild and posts. People have been tagging us in posts. Of like, somebody made like a really cute crop top
Oh,
out
that's
of
cute.
the skull and crow shirt.
Oh, amazing.
And it looked amazing. And I was like, so I'm gonna have to gather all those and like repost them. I did like a thanks or a little like on them. But
Yes, that's awesome.
yeah, if you wear the shirt out, definitely tag us in it.
Or the shoes, or if
the
you decorate
shoes,
your home with the
yeah.
pillows, we actually have tons of stuff. Some really cool mugs too. Some
Mhm.
really awesome designs. Patrice is a pretty awesome designer, so she
Yeah,
comes
she
up with
is.
stuff just constantly and just
Oh.
throws it on up there.
Yeah,
So,
I do.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about we just created decals for our cars.
Oh, yeah.
And-
Chad saw those today and I
Oh.
really loved it.
Oh,
Mine looks
awesome.
great.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm thinking I don't have enough. Sorry, chop talk. Don't have enough contrast on mine, so I'm gonna do some white ones as well, so they'll have more contrast. But
Awesome.
yay! So I definitely drove my car proudly across state line to go to Mississippi, have a little country life, and see all the wildlife from my grandparents' house. And I'll talk a little bit about this after my story today.
Mm.
And we will be right back.
Do you want more Strange South every week? We can help. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter And you can join our Facebook fan group, Fans of the Strange South Podcast, to keep the chat going with our whole creepy community. Do you have a story idea for us or a story of your own to share? Email us at stories@thestrangesouth.com. Plus, if you join our Patreon, you not only help support the podcast, you get free swag, extras, exclusives, and a discount on merch. You can find links to all these things on our website, thestrangesouth.com, along with photos, links, and show notes from every episode. Strange South t-shirts, mugs, stickers, and other goodies. See you there.
You know what it is? It's the watermelon with the lime juice on it. That's what you tasted, I think.
Yeah.
With the lime. Because I've
Man, watermelon and lime are just... Oh.
Isn't it good? It's almost like it got a salt flavor in it, but then you taste it and you're like, it's not really salt.
Well, so, there's so many things growing out in my grandparents' place. Like, those wild blackberry bushes that are like fucking everywhere. We also have like a huge 2-story fig tree.
Oh my God.
Growing like right. And it got damaged from when it like went to like 9 below, kind of felt like here.
Yeah.
When it really had
When
that
everything
hard.
froze. Yeah.
When everything froze and about killed like the rosemary bush. So it looked like it did kind of thing, but it's coming back. But the problem is like there was something else that grew straight up and then canopied on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's elderberries.
Oh, no way.
Shit.
Elderberries.
We need to make some elderberry juice.
So elderberries actually will grow naturally with fig trees. They're like a companion plant.
Oh, I didn't know that.
However, this elderberry was keeping the sunlight from the fig leaves. So we had to, and it was huge too. So I hated to do this, but we had to remove the elderberry bush from the fig tree. But there's other elderberry bushes on the property. So it's not like that we, killed the only elderberry bush on the thing. But I didn't know that they were like companion plants kind of deal.
That's cool.
So that was really cool. So I can't wait. Like we're going to have to go out there because we're going to be competing with like everything out there to eat them in order to get some good fig. Because there ain't nothing like a good fig preserve.
I really like figs. I didn't used to. But...
Fig and goat cheese.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes. I like figs. Figs are delish. And they do grow like gangbusters, man.
They do. All right, y'all. It is my turn to tell a story.
Yes, tell us a story.
And this doesn't really happen in the South.
Oh, no.
This is the Strange Not South episode.
No.
But I got there. I was thinking about when this like came across my path. And I was thinking I shouldn't do this. Like I need to find like a more Southern connection. And I really never did. But I just had this feeling like I need to talk about this. And it's something I can continue to talk about later on because anyway, I'll see. Hold on. Got a burp.
I thought there was something in your eye.
There is something in my eye.
I gotta burp.
I pushed my burp button, my eyeball. I know I got like something in my eye, so I'm like, I'm over here dying, y'all.
No.
Okay, so I am going to talk about the strange case of Charles Peck.
Okay. Peck like P-E-C-K?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
like Gregory Peck.
like Ellen Peck.
Like Ellen Peck, yes. And this is kind of the connection for me because it was not until I moved to Jacksonville. Like Jacksonville is really the first place I've ever lived that has no trains. Like every single town that I've ever lived in, you could always hear a train whistle blowing multiple times a day. And this is the first town that's really kind of like weird because I'm always listening for it and I don't hear it. But then when I go back home or I go somewhere and I hear the train whistle, it's just like, it feels, I don't know. It just feels like, oh, yes. Here I am.
Yeah, like when we were in New Orleans, you felt just fine in the mirror because
there's trains all the time. Yeah. So
we were near the train tracks.
Right. And there's a lot of trains around here, like at Anniston, but not here in Gadsden, but not in Jacksonville because they tore up the trail. And we could have like they tore up the rail for the trail here that goes into Atlanta.
Rails to trails.
Yep. That's what I was trying to think of. A friend of mine used to work, and I may have mentioned this before, at a law office as a paralegal. When they entered there, I think when they were in college, but definitely after they graduated. And they stayed there a couple of years or two. And it was actually in Tuscaloosa. So they traveled from Columbus, Mississippi to Tuscaloosa, which is about 45 minutes every day to go there. And they had to stop because one of the things that they did was they would go out for claims, insurance claims to train crashes whenever a train.
You told us about this when we talked about the goat Poplick monster.
Right.
Yes.
And they only worked there a couple of years, and they were just like, you will not believe how often a train hits a car, or how often this happens that doesn't really get reported. And of course, it would get reported now because this was all pre-social media, pre-smartphones and all of that. So nowadays, we definitely hear more about train crashes and everything. So the strange case of Charles Peck starts September 12th, 2008. A Union Pacific freight train and a Metrolink commuter train collided head-on at the Chatsworth neighborhood in Los Angeles, California. It was roughly going 83 miles per hour when they hit head-on. There was 225 people commuting aboard the Metrolink, and the engineer sitting in the front of the Union Pacific train was killed instantly. And the freight train was only carrying, because it was, it was freight. So it was not like a passenger train or anything like that. It was carrying only 3 other crewmates, but the train became completely demolished in the accident. The first responding officers described the wreck as a beyond human description kind of thing. 25 people ended up dying in this accident, and it was the deadliest accident in the Metrolink's history. There was also 135 injured during the time after the crash, and many of the survivors remained hospitalized for an extended period of time. So it was major injuries that happened. It's known as the Chatsworth train crash, and the cause of it was because the Metrolink train ran through a red signal before entering one of the single tracks where the opposing freight train had been given the right-of-way by the train dispatcher. And the NTSB, which I guess is the governing body of all of that, blamed the Metrolink train's engineer, 46-year-old Robert M. Sanchez, for the collision because he was distracted texting while on duty. And I'm pretty sure he was killed. But I don't.
He was the front of the passenger train.
Right.
The passenger train ran the red light. Basically.
Right. Okay. And yeah, because if you've ever ridden on the train, you know that you'll go to the side every so often to let the other passenger train or another train go by if you don't have multiple rails. And usually there's only one main rail. One of the passengers on that train was 49-year-old Charles Peck, and he was considering leaving his job at Salt Lake City International Airport for a job at Van Nuys Airport in Los Angeles to be closer to his fiancee, Andrea Katz. They were planning to get married, so of course they wanted to live at the same place. Andrea was actually on her way to pick him up from the depot when she heard about the crash on the radio, and she was relieved when she got a call from his cell phone. And she was like, thank God. But she picked it up and the phone was only static. So after the crash, Peck's phone placed calls to his son, his sister, his brother, and his stepmother. There were 35 calls that were made in an 11 hours following the accident. And the final call from Peck's phone came around 3:28 a.m. in the morning, 1 hour before his body was found. So they discovered his body, and because of the way the body was, they knew that he had died on impact. And the police also, they were able to find his body from the location of his cell phone, but they never found the cell phone. And so many theories have gone maybe his cell phone was broke, and accidentally butt dialed somebody, all of his emergency contacts and everything like that. But the cell phone was never found within the wreckage. And what I'm going to talk about is phone calls from the dead.
Oh. Ooh.
And that's what took me down this. And I'm not going to cover a whole in depth of this, but I'm going to tell you a few stories that are interesting, and maybe we can carry on this conversation.
After.
Again
on the bees.
On the B side.
Yeah, man. Listen up later for the B side.
We need to have an after hours kind of soundtrack for the B side.
Hold your headset.
There you go. So September 20th, 1988, author Dean Koontz.
What? Yeah, Dean
Koontz. So Odd Thomas is one of his most popular books, but he also wrote this book, y'all, and I tell everybody about it. It's called Intensity by Dean Koontz. And I read it in one sitting, and my heart rate did not go below 100 the whole entire time. My anxiety, extreme intensity of just reading. His whole premise of that book was, he says, when you're writing a thriller, you do not have to have a lull in order to have a high. And he is completely right, because it is you start off right here and you go up, and the intensity of everything that's happening, you do not breathe until the final page of the book.
Sold them to download it. I see it right here. Oh, 1995.
Yes.
Intensity.
Oh my gosh. It is intense. All right. Dead joke. So when he was working in his office in 1988, he received a phone call, and there was a distant voice of a woman that urged him to be careful. And it said it to him 3 times. And then it went quiet. And he's like, okay, that's really weird. The voice kind of resembled his late mother, but she had been dead for a decade. And so he's it caused him to speculate about the call. It's all right. It's my number's unlisted, first of all. So it's not I guess it could be a random phone call, targeted prank, or it wasn't a targeted prank. It could have been a prank and just somebody randomly dialing, but it left him wondering, was it really a misdial or was it something else? And he said, I don't claim that it was a ghost, but it definitely was very odd. And it's not usual for people to report strange experiences like this. And so he just kind of, left it as is. When you have an experience like that, you're kind of second guessing yourself about what's going on. And, you're not really calling up Ghostbusters or anything like that.
It was 1988.
It was 1988, though. You are correct.
We're close.
Who are you going to call?
I don't know.
Nobody. We're going to call nobody.
And we're going to forget about it. We're going to forget about it the next day. 2 days after that call, Dean visits his father at the local care facility. And because his father had recently been displaying this aggressive behavior, and he had assaulted another resident, punched him. And the staff was like, you need to come see about your dad. He's being violent. And unbeknownst to Dean at the time, his dad had secretly purchased a yellow-handled fishing knife.
What?
And had it modified to function as a switchblade.
What?
So
why couldn't he just buy a switchblade?
Because he's living in assisted living.
So he's and
so he could buy a fishing knife. Sorry, go ahead.
Probably.
Questions I have no answers to.
Sorry, these aren't the important questions of the story. But I mean, I'm just saying.
Sure. Ralph needs a
maybe he's I'm gonna go fishing, and so I need a fishing knife.
Yeah, and they were like, okay, we'll get you a fishing knife.
There's a guy that's stationed in the corner of the hallway at the assisted living facility that has stuff in his jacket. He's just like, hey, what do you need? What do you need? That's exactly how it went down. So upon entering his dad's room, Dean was unexpectedly confronted by his dad wielding this knife. And a struggle ensued during which Dean managed to avoid being slashed and successfully disarmed his father. Of course, the altercation attracted the attention of several witnesses, one of whom called the police. And he went out, and the police were coming in, and he had the knife. And so they thought that Dean was
his father,
the one that they had been called about. And Dean says, I suddenly realized that they were going to shoot me if I didn't drop the knife, even though he's saying, no, it's not me, it's him. I was like, yeah, everybody says that. So, he's like, I almost got myself killed due to this misunderstanding. The incident was resolved and the police eventually identified his dad as the dangerous party, and they transported him to the psychiatric ward for observation.
Oh, it's like the time I almost got halidoled.
Mm.
I took my friend
Oh, yeah, exactly.
to the mental health ward
Oh, my
of the
gosh.
hospital.
Mhm.
She was like, not me, it's her. Give her the shot.
My God. How do you prove that? Because anybody would be like, no, it's not
you.
me.
Sitting
It's
back in
you.
the chair just like this. No, it's her.
Oh, my God.
No, seriously, I just had to go to the bathroom.
Y'all watch
Per
yourselves.
usual.
Watch
Right?
yourselves.
Watch yourselves. Oh my God. Anyway, so this mysterious phone call popped into his head after this incident, and he believes it probably was a warning to prime him for the act, and be vigilant that day. And it could have possibly saved his life. He was a little bit more aware of watching out for danger and everything. He actually wrote that scene into his 1993 novel, Mr. Murder.
Oh.
Where the protagonist, Marty Stillwater, experiences a very similar occurrence with, the law enforcement. So, holy shit. What a story. And then, you being an author, you'd be like, oh, this is good.
Everything is fodder. When you're Dean Koontz, you gotta pop that shit out.
That's
it's like
right.
everything is usable.
Man, that is definitely.
Sometimes real life, though, is better than fiction. There are stories that I have, and I'm like, did that really happen? Yes, it did. And people wouldn't even believe it. They would think,
Oh, yeah.
You could be the next Dean Koontz.
I guess I should start my career right now.
I think you should. I'm on board with that. We want to go on the book tour, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
you're in.
Okay.
Awesome.
You make my drinks, though.
Yes.
Oh, no,
who
you
is
would
kidding?
hate.
You would be so pissed.
You would. You'd be like, what's this shit?
This is
This is subpar.
this is country time lemonade.
Whoa, no. I ain't taking those whiskey sours. You're putting it down, Patrice. Nope. Ain't got no time for that.
Oh, my
You
God.
better bring that lemon squeezer.
Mhm.
Country time lemon. I'm not against it for 8-year-olds. Give it to them.
With whiskey.
Yes, both. Give it to the 8-year-olds. But the bottom stuff, don't give them the top shelf. It's wasted. Their palates are not sophisticated.
Insert disclaimer here.
Please do not give whiskey and country time lemonade to your children.
If it happens on accident, though, tell us about it.
Oh my God.
Or write a book about it, just like Dean Koontz would do.
Enter another disclaimer here. I didn't watch, but I read a little bit on this YouTube interview with psychologist Dr. Callum Cooper, and it's on the New Thinking Aloud channel with Jeffrey Mishlove, and they were discussing the topic of phone calls from the dead.
Oh.
And Dr. Cooper is a lecturer of psychology at the University of Northampton and has conducted research on death, bereavement, parapsychology, and other related subjects. And they were talking about this book called Phone Calls from the Dead that came out in 1979 by Scott Rogo and Raymond Bayless. And I looked it up on Amazon because I was like, oh, I'm going to read this because this is what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That fucking book is $288.
I hate it when that happens.
And I'm like, motherfucker.
I know. Things go out of print and then all of a sudden.
Yes. It's like, pew! Supply demand. I understand.
Demand.
But shit. Anyway, so there's a collection of about 50 cases that we will never know about.
Yep. If you have this book, let us know. Just like somebody actually had the movie that I was
I know.
Somebody had the movie from when I was talking about
yeah.
the makeup, the cosmetics cult.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God,
marketing.
somebody had Circle of Power, also known as Brainwashed. You're like my hero. Also, why did you have that? That's so random.
It is random. But, there you go.
Thrift store.
Thrift store. You can also, like you're really interested in this and want to find scary stories of communications with the dead. Y'all, who am I talking to? I'm talking to y'all. Y'all already know.
You already have the book.
You already
Somebody
have
out
the
there already
books.
has the book.
Like, y'all know more than I do about this stuff. So you tell us right in.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I support that. She looks at me like,
No, I'm trying to remember her damn email address.
Oh, shit.
Stories@thestrangesouth.com.
Yes.
At
And then there's another one. No, there's another one.
And
Shit.
there's the Strange
Randy,
South.
The Strange
South podcast
at gmail.com.
Yeah.
I knew there was one at Gmail.
You were correct.
They both come to us.
But there's also stories at the Strange South.
yeah, whichever one you can remember. On Reddit, though, there's the No Sleep that has tons of these stories that I love reading about. And so the interest of like the dead phoning home and developing communication devices to speak to the spirit world dates back, of course, to the invention of communication devices in period. So Thomas Edison, who did not invent the telephone, but invented, light bulbs. And also, I forget, he invented the phonograph and motion picture camera.
Phonograph and motion picture.
So anything, but, the age of electricity, he was all up in it. He's like,
He's all up in the age of electricity.
He is. He's like, maybe we can speak to the dead with this stuff. And so this is called instrumental transcommunication, where you communicate with deceased people through instruments such as the radio and like Mothman. Remember the whole telephone and the Mothman?
What year was this? With
Chapstick?
Yeah, that's from the movie. Sorry.
I don't know.
I don't remember that one.
Chapstick.
I did say that.
I know that's
Chapstick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why was he saying chapstick?
I can't remember.
Chopstick.
Chapstick.
Okay.
I don't remember. But I swear to God, it's in the movie with Richard Gere. Something
Okay.
about chapstick.
So the Mothman needed chapstick?
He really, well, I mean, yeah.
Yep, exactly. That was the problem. But what year was Edison's, all these inventions? Is this around spiritualism time?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
It sounds like the paranormal investigators, they still use like those
That's what I'm fixing to talk about.
Okay.
So they have spirit boxes. It's like all the rage in the paranormal shows where they're trying to do the EVPs, the electronic voice phenomenon. And so Dr. Cooper and Jeffrey Mishlove was talking about this, and they wrote a book together called Paraacoustics, Sound and the Paranormal. But they suggest, and it's really interesting that they suggest this, that, the group, which is kind of like a big the group, suggestion plays a huge role of how people perceive, or whether the people perceive EVPs as genuine. So it's like, yeah. So if you're hunting for ghosts, everything that you see is going to be a ghost.
Yeah.
If you're listening for a ghost, everything you're going to hear is going to be a ghost.
And if you're not, it's not.
And it's not. So it goes back to Dean Koontz, who received a phone call, wasn't thinking ghosts. Like, oh, that kind of sounds like my mom. That was weird. Private number. Okay, weird. Hangs up. Didn't think about it again until like the episode with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like saying, yeah, if you're looking for ghosts, you're going to see ghosts. If you're listening for ghosts, you're going to see ghosts. But they have a copy of this very expensive book, and they have read it. And he said that Scott Rogo. What?
Sorry.
You didn't hear her?
What'd she say?
She's just
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No, this is because I can't hear. So if a ghost was speaking in my ear, I would be like, it was like insect. But I didn't even hear that. So,
Like that. That's an EVP, by the way.
So.
Sorry. I like make
I'm just going to sit here. And
That
finish.
just gives her a second to have some of her drink.
Mm-hmm.
My drink been gone for a minute now.
I'll just finish that.
So
Dr. Cooper read the book, and he said that there are 4 different types of phone calls from the dead, which I kind of call bullshit
4
because
types
I
only.
think one of
Because
them is
really-
like a telemarketing phone call.
there's 5 types of phone calls. And
we would
actually-
like you to invest in Bitcoin.
Yeah. And there's
Shit, I got
really,
that text today. What about ghost texts instead of phone calls?
Okay, sorry. So sorry.
Okay, there's 4.
We're going to
There's
throw her up. Stop. Let her.
there's 4.
5. Okay.
All right. So there's the simple call. These are brief calls where you hear the voice of the deceased, but there's no conversation beyond that. There's prolonged calls, and in this instance, there is a lengthy conversation with the deceased, and the conversation may seem normal until later. you realize that the person has already passed away. So
It's like, it seems normal until you remember this person's been dead for a while.
Or either they call and you realize you find out later that they had been dead. During the time.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's like the doppelganger.
You
call.
talk to them and then they're like, no, she died at 2 a.m. And you're like, but I talked to her at 8.
Mhm.
Right. And this doesn't necessarily, I don't know why this is grouped. These other two are grouped. This is the answered call. This occurs when somebody, is verified to be elsewhere, but still answers the call and engages in conversation. Later, it becomes apparent that it could not have possibly been them to answer the phone. So it's kind of like,
that's not a ghost, though.
You throw the phone at the bottom of the sea, and then at that time, have a conversation, and they're like, no, my phone's at the bottom of the sea. And so you were talking to a mermaid.
Wait, what year was this?
What year was this?
Is this before cell phones when this book was written? Probably.
Yeah. And that's why.
Because we can't be
it's like,
everywhere with our phone when we didn't have cell
But
phone.
it's like, everybody has their phone attached to their hip.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the intention call, which I didn't know was a thing. And these are calls where you intend to make the call, but you change your mind at the last minute. Yet the person you intended to call still answers a phone.
Weird.
You called and they said, I talked to you.
Mm-hmm. But
you're not dead.
But you're not dead. But you intended to call them.
But you didn't
So you
actually
don't have to be
dial.
dead.
But you didn't actually dial.
So these aren't just dead people.
These aren't just dead
It's
people.
ghosts.
This is spirit. This is spirit.
But not
calls.
necessarily dead spirits. Got it.
Mm-hmm. So Dr. Mishlow
Intentions.
shared a personal experience that he had that he considers a phone call from the dead. I don't know if it was his colleague, but there was a woman named Elizabeth Targ who was a psychical. Does that make sense? That sounds right?
Yeah.
Psychical researcher. And he learned that many people were experiencing communications from her, including her father, Russ Targ, who was a parapsychologist. And Mishlow had a dream where he spoke to Elizabeth about her communications. And at that moment, he was awakened by a phone call with white noise on the line. And the timing and the content of the dream and the phone calls made him think that this could possibly be her. And I read about how they think that she contacted her dad. It's like after she died, they were sitting, she had died at her father's home. And they were sitting there on the balcony with a bunch of friends. And then the lights just went on and off, and they'd never done that before. And after a while, they went on off again. And so her father believes that was Elizabeth talking to him. And Dr. Cooper adds that there's similar stories where individuals have dreamed talking to somebody, and sometimes it's usually like a white staircase is involved or a white room, and there's a white telephone on a pedestal. And they pick up the phone and they have a conversation in their dream with their deceased loved ones. And he's wondering, maybe is the dream a construct and includes the telephone, suggesting that perhaps the distant voice on the phone feels more recognizable and more meaningful than a face-to-face encounter.
It's making me think of Harry Potter.
Oh my God, I thought exactly that. I was like, does
King's
this
Cross
happen in
Station.
Harry Potter?
When everything's white and
then
just like that
weird,
idea of
creepy Voldemort's curled up under a bench.
Oh, yeah, that was
when
weird.
When he sees Dumbledore.
But that kind of makes me wonder.
Get my wizards confused. Sorry.
Gandalf. Gambledore. Yeah. All right. And okay, yeah, absolutely. So white, weird
staircase
and pedestal. But we text
tunnel, right, and the white light and all that seems to fit too.
It does.
Stairway to heaven.
But then they also mention okay, so in the dreams that this is happening, could it not just be like an alarm or the ringing of your phone that actually wakes you up, or that you're hearing subconsciously that makes you think that it's going to be a phone call than actually, that happening. So they say that could be a possibility. All right. So just a couple of short stories to end with. And again, nothing from the South. Actually,
These are from anywhere.
This is from anywhere.
I would imagine that there are
beyond.
there are plenty of stories from Southern people having this.
Oh, yeah.
I swear to God, one of y'all told me a story like this.
I did.
Oh,
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
was
go
just
ahead.
going to say the dream thing for me is pretty real, but I'll save it for later too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Talking to people who are gone.
so a woman named Crystal shared a story. She said she was at her mom's house and she called a friend who lived nearby. She was at her cousin's house. So she looked up the number in the phone book and she knew that they were the only Owens in the phone book. And she knew that it was her friend's cousin's number because they were the only Owens in the phone book. So she dialed the number and she said it didn't even ring, but an old lady answered. And she said, hello. And Crystal said, is Emily there? And Emily is the friend of Jessica's cousin. Okay, there's a lot of names going on. So the old lady says, no, my dear, Emily isn't here. I should be expecting her any moment now. So I thought nothing of it and hung up. So I told Jessica about it and she said, Emily's grandmother is dead. And we were there all day long. We were just sitting right there by the phone and it never rang at all. And that's the end of the story. And I was like, well, what does Granny mean by I should be expecting her a minute? That's freaky, but it doesn't say anymore. So we will never know.
Bless you, Emily.
I'm sorry, Emily.
All right. There's a salesperson named Mary, and she remembers she made a cell call to Pennsylvania, and it started like any other call. Here's your telemarketers, right? Telemarketer goes call. She's like, I need to speak to Mr. or Mrs. Box. And the woman identified herself as Mrs. Box. And she's like, I continued with my normal spiel. She seemed very interested and asked a lot of questions. But when the time it came to make decisions, she quickly stopped me and insisted that I talk to her husband. Her objections were the same every time I attempted to close. She quickly pointed out that since his retirement, he spent a great deal of time fishing and was not easy to get in touch with, and it would be best if you tried early in the morning before he left for his favorite hobby.
Before fishing? So like at 4 a.m?
Yeah, early.
Right? Oh my God. Yes. So on the call back, the husband did answer, and I introduced myself in normal fashion, explained that I'd been talking to his wife the previous day, and she suggested that I speak directly to him. And he said, lady, I don't know who you were talking to, but my wife died, and I am not in any mood to speak to anyone. And with that, he hung up on her.
Oh, damn.
And then there's contact from beyond the grave, which comes in the form of emails and social media. So people who have passed obviously are not limited to phone calls in this modern age. They often use email and social media sites such as Facebook to contact their loved ones. For instance, there's a tale of this guy named Jack who passed away unexpectedly in 2011 from heart arrhythmia, only to contact his friends through email approximately 6 months later. Jack's friends reported emails sent from his account that actually detailed some of their last conversations. So it wasn't just like, kind of benign emails, vague emails.
It wasn't AI.
No, not in 2011.
Not in 2011, or maybe Jack from the future.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of his friends tried to explain or try to reply, but never got a response back. So people claim that their deceased friends have liked their post on Facebook many times and have sent them messages from beyond.
That's a little more hacker to me.
Yeah.
It definitely, yeah. Or
That
just
doesn't
somebody
really,
being mean.
Yeah, that doesn't really lend itself to ghosts to me as much as the others do.
But still is unsettling if you're
It
like
is.
the person receiving
I
it.
would freak
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting
It would
topic.
make me mad though. I'd be like, who's fucking
Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
pretty
then you'd,
quickly flip
Yeah.
to angry. Yeah.
Track them down and
Yeah.
find their
Who's
IP
doing
address.
this?
Mm-hmm.
You sick.
So interesting topic. This is something that I was thinking about this weekend. I went to my grandparents' place and they are deceased, and I slept in the same room with my grandparents and my uncle's ashes. And I kept really expecting to see something or feel something. I mean, I was looking to. And anytime that I kind of got freaked out, it's because I saw the corner of my hair or something, But I slept so well, and I didn't dream any. And it was like a very comforting feeling. So I know, let us know if any of you have any like contact through the
Mhm.
phone with your departed loved ones. We would love to hear stories about that. And that's all I have for episode 137.
Oh,
Good
thank you.
stories.
Yes, good job.
Thank y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.